The UFC has announced that International Fight Week will be returning at the end of June, and multiple superstar fight announcements are imminent as the UFC has already hinted at the matchup many fans have been waiting for, on top of fighters already making their call-outs for this night, with other UFC dates being mentioned as well for some of these potential bouts, and we're going to break all of it down. What's up, guys? Welcome to UFC Digest. My name is Chris, and guys, you might know me from Nick's Digest or some other channels, but let's jump right into this. If you enjoy UFC content and want daily updates on potential fight announcements, a bunch of fun updates, watch-alongs, predictions, so much fun stuff. I don't even fully know what we're going to do on this channel yet, but we're going to break down all the news that comes out about the UFC, so get ready to see a lot of this, but let's jump into it. As always, guys, the UFC is coming back to International Fight Week on June 28th. UFC 317 has been announced, and as you can see here in this image, well, there's two silhouettes of two guys who we all know pretty well at this point, who have fought in the UFC many, many times before, and they both happen to be champions of none other than the heavyweight division between Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall. Let's take another look at this. On the right side, that's clearly Tom Aspinall and those ears that point out. On the left side, that's an older photo of Jon Jones, it looks like, one from back his light heavyweight days. And, well, this feels like another hint that the UFC is dropping, that they plan on Jon Jones' retirement party being at UFC 317. One more time, send Jon Jones to Vegas while he probably makes a ton of mistakes in Vegas as usual. But the UFC will be returning. And guys, this is the fight that every fan wants to see if you're in the heavyweight division. It's the only interesting fight you could make at heavyweight right now. I mean, I guess Ciryl Gane versus Sergey Pavlovich is fun to think about. But outside of that, we all know that the heavyweight division is just sincerely lacking in talent. And there's one fight that matters. There's one guy who we feel confident can beat Tom Aspinall, and that's Jon Jones. And there's one guy who we feel confident that can beat Jon Jones, and it's Tom Aspinall. And these two have had no shortage of calling each other out and talking about this fight. And with the UFC announcing that on June 28th in 2025 in Las Vegas, Nevada, as usual at the T-Mobile Arena, UFC 317 will be taking place. Now, Tom Aspinall has already said that he's said yes to the Jon Jones fight, and he's just waiting for Jon Jones' side and for the UFC to sort it out. Tom said, I should imagine I'm going to find out in the next couple of weeks. Now, guys, this was a month ago that Tom Aspinall said this about Jon Jones. We know Jon Jones changing his Instagram profile picture to the duck and basically and his Twitter profile and just talking about the AI duck with the heavyweight belt around it. We know that Jon Jones is messing with people. We know that on top of him doing this, he also said recently that he has a major announcement and put the hashtag and still, just to talk about like Medicare or whatever, because everyone knew one thing when that major announcement was coming. It wasn't the Tom Aspinall fight. It's very clear Jon Jones does not want to take the Tom Aspinall fight, and Dana White basically told Jon, well, if you're going to fight in the UFC anymore, you're going to take this fight, and Jon's going to try to wiggle out of it. He's going to try to get that bout with Alex Pereira to make him move up to heavyweight after fighting Magomed Ankalaev. Win or lose, Jon Jones is going to continue to call out Alex because, well, he sees that as a much easier victory than Tom Aspinall because Alex is a kickboxer who will probably just get grappled instantly like Ciryl Gane did, and there's an easy win for Jon Jones over an opponent who's more famous in Pereira, at least in America, and then Jon can ride off into the sunset, avoiding Tom Aspinall and just crowning Tom Aspinall as the fully undisputed heavyweight champion, which, you know, most people already consider him the undisputed heavyweight champion because he's the one saying yes to the Jon Jones fight. And Jon Jones is saying no, he's being disrespectful when he said, hi, Jon, you're the GOAT. I really would love to share the octagon with you, all respect. I mean, Jon Jones said that Tom's just being an ass about it, and obviously that's clearly true by the respect and kindness that Tom Aspinall has shown. And clearly Tom has been bothered by it. He's admitted to being bothered by it, as he should be, because, well, Jon Jones is ducking him. We know this. It's evidently clear. That all being said, taking a look at just both of these guys, they're both incredible fighters. I mean, we know this. Jon Jones is the GOAT. 11 wins by knockout, 7 by submission, a few decision wins on top of that as well. His takedown accuracy is very successful. He's got a 95% takedown defense. We know Tom Aspinall is going to try to beat Jon Jones on the feet because it makes more sense. Just way more methods to victory there, despite the fact that Jon has never really been dropped by anyone. And that fight time, the average fight time is really the key here to this fight. I mean, 14:52 in the cage. Meanwhile, you look at Tom Aspinall, 2 minutes, literally the lowest fight time of anyone. Tom has never failed a takedown. Jon Jones has defended basically every takedown that's ever been tossed at him. It makes for an interesting matchup when you know that this is going to happen on the feet, especially Tom Aspinall has never been taken down either. Now, I'd imagine Jon Jones is going to take him down. I imagine Jon Jones isn't just going to get eliminated in the first round the way that we've seen Curtis Blades and Tabora both get just completely wrecked in the first round, and seeing Sergey Pavlovich land a punch that Aspinall laughs, points, and says nice, and then just knocks Pavlovich out cold, which, I mean, shocked me. I thought Pavlovich was going to run through Tom, but I was clearly way off there. But, guys, it's not really surprising to see that all of this is going down. Meanwhile, we do have some other interesting fights on the cards between Michael Chandler, who's been calling out Paddy Pimblett's name after Paddy kind of mentioned him as well. Now, taking a look at this, Paddy Pimblett said, "I'm coming for the belt, so I want high-ranked fighters." I said yes. The opponent said yes. So, yeah, see you at the top. We all know that see you at the top is none other than Michael Chandler's big thing that he says all the time. It's his tagline, whatever you want to call it. Michael Chandler's excellent at putting on that WWE performance on the microphone, and see you at the top is just his tagline. And Chandler would be open to the Pimblett fight. We've already seen that he's open to the Pimblett fight, and it would be interesting to see because Chandler keeps losing in fun fashion where he's just putting on awesome fights and hyping up the crowd and then losing anyway. And Paddy Pimblett keeps putting on underwhelming fights that he ends up winning. So it does make for a funny matchup for sure. Chandler's also got a good style to kind of counteract Paddy. He's really strong, has that low center of gravity that would make it difficult for a guy, a thinner, smaller guy like Paddy to try to land a takedown. Chandler, though, he's got the same problem as Bobby Green where he fights just with zero brain and will absolutely shoot takedowns right into Paddy's guard, and so quickly that could just be the end of the fight, given Chandler's only been tapped once, and it is by Dustin Poirier, who was also brought up for a Paddy Pimblett fight, and Dustin said, no, I want Nate Diaz, who Dustin's been trying to get that fight forever, and it's an easy win that he could get in Louisiana, then ride off into the sunset for, so it makes sense to want that, given I think Dustin would just smoke Paddy on the feet in one round, because Paddy doesn't protect his face, but that's story for a different day. And Paddy essentially said that, because Nate Diaz said, you're completely undervaluing Paddy, and Paddy agreed, then called out Dustin Poirier, and Poirier and Chandler hate each other as well, so maybe it shows some interest in Chandler to take that matchup from Poirier or vice versa. But we've seen just a lot of this going down now, and I mean, just to continue to take a look at things, like, Paddy said that he's 10 weeks out, so he'll make weight easily when just discussing stuff. 10 weeks out is the Miami card at the Kaseya Center, so it leads up to that potentially being the date that they do the dance, especially when considering that Michael Chandler tweeted out a palm tree a few days back, or now a week back, basically just saying or hinting that he would be down to fight in Miami. Michael Chandler's talked about fighting in Miami previously. He called out Jorge Masvidal for Miami. Masvidal responded saying that that's the fight he wants as well if he decides to return to the octagon, which it seems like he does. So it would make some sense that maybe you throw that fight. Two guys who are very exciting, very good on the mic. The styles will clash for an epic fight unless Chandler decides to just completely sit on Masvidal, which I don't think Chandler would do that because he knows the fans would get bored and they're expecting violence from Chandler, so I imagine he'd keep it enough on the feet to where it's fun. And frankly, it seems like Chandler wants to fight more often after taking that 2-year layoff to not fight Conor McGregor. So it would make some sense that Chandler's trying to get a bunch of fights in. So Paddy could happen on that date with Chandler. It could also be Masvidal, but that's kind of died down a lot, so I highly doubt it would be. I imagine Chandler's next fight could likely be against Paddy. He's going to have to fight down in the rankings. I mean, yeah, he talks himself into a lot of good fights, and Arman Tsarukyan wants to fight Chandler because it's an easy matchup for Tsarukyan. Tsarukyan says that Chandler's terrible, and Chandler obviously doesn't take kindly to that, and that was rumored a lot for Miami as well. This is kind of also what Chandler's palm tree could be about. Essentially, Chandler's called out everyone and everyone for this Miami date. At the same time, Paddy is fighting on the Miami card. He's been adamant about it. Paddy also said, and it's important to note this, that he said his plan is to fight in Miami, then Abu Dhabi, and then for the championship. So fighting for Chandler does get you into that upper echelon of the lightweights, where then you could look up, and Poirier will likely be retired by October when they go to Abu Dhabi of next year. Unless, once again, Poirier's like, yeah, this is my final fight before my retirement. Maybe I'll fight one more after that and just continue to put it off and say, the next one's my last one, the next one's my last one, the next one's my last one, because it is hard to walk out, especially when you're getting paid that Dustin Poirier money. But at the same time, you look at things, it would make some sense if Paddy does hold off till then. It's not like he fights a ton, if we're being honest. Paddy's not the most active fighter. He fought, I mean, the last fight was the Bobby Green fight. So it has been a bit of time now. So seeing Paddy fight in Abu Dhabi, which he's never done before, he's setting himself up for big markets that he hasn't been to. He was the co-main at T-Mobile for the worst championship fight in a long time between Ankalaev and Jan Blachowicz. And, oh my God, that draw was terrible. Then on top of that, well, first of all, Paddy lost that fight to Jared Gordon and then was given the victory. And now since he's fought in T-Mobile, he's fought in London a bunch of times. Now he wants to fight, obviously, in Miami, then Abu Dhabi, the other big markets. It makes sense. Then fight for a championship title. There's a world where Poirier and Gaethje retire this year and Paddy could just find himself near a title shot. Islam would absolutely maul him. I think everyone would agree on that it probably would not even be a close fight whatsoever. It is kind of unfortunate that Paddy and Moicano never got it on. That felt like it was going to be interesting. But yeah, I mean, I think Chandler makes sense for Paddy. I think Paddy makes sense for Chandler. Chandler's got to fight down at some point. He can't keep talking himself into these big fights. So that would make some sense as well. That could also be an International Fight Week, according to Michael Chandler, who did kind of hint that he would like to fight an International Fight Week. Given this week, he'd have to fight at both. But he said, y'all are funny. Fighting Paddy Pimblett is a scary fight. Just joking. Can you imagine? Essentially saying that he would torch him. Chandler kind of hinted that he would like to do the dance at International Fight Week as well. Kind of talking about it. And, well, maybe he'll be the co-main to Jon Jones. It makes some sense. Though, if I have to guess, I imagine Juliana Pena is going to fight Kayla Harrison at International Fight Week. So we'll see on that. Guys, let me know what you think down below. Who do you want to see Chandler fight? Who do you want to see Paddy fight? Will Jon Jones fight Tom Aspinall? It feels like it's, 40-60 in favor of, or 60-40 in favor of no, because, well, clearly Jon doesn't want to end his career in a loss, which does unfortunately make some sense, though he's clearly ducking Tom Aspinall, and real UFC fans won't forget. Guys, let me know what you think down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. I can't wait to get this channel really, really going. We're going to have a few other creators on it as well, so make sure to stick around for them too. But guys, have a great day. I'll catch you on the next one.